Si Dave, sasayaw.
Okay, are we live? There's a
Setting
big
up.
red. Okay.
Oo nga, live na.
Yeah, okay, because I see the red button with the word live. So we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome. So this is
Check
our
Facebook.
Pride Month offering, and the title of our little conversation at Soul Purpose Conversations is Come Out, Whoever I Am. Okay, so before we get started, we just want to make a shout out to all the fabulous rainbow people out there. This is your month. Have a great month. Be fabulous as you usually are. My name is David Montecillo, and I am, as usual, the thorn amongst the pretty roses again. So let's introduce the roses. I will point using my fingers. I hope you can. This is gallery view because I see gallery view. I will point to this person. Who's that? Can you see? I think I'm pointing to Lance. Lance, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Lance Bularan. I'm a sole purpose activist like Dave. Hi, hello.
This person. Who's that?
What's this? It doesn't look the same, eh? Aves.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Eves, and I am a Soul Purpose Hub member. So there's a Facebook group called Soul Purpose Hub. This is where I gather with these crazies, and so they let me join their conversation.
Yeah.
And the last but not the least, definitely, Miss Cheesecake herself.
Oh, are you talking about me? Because
Yes.
I was hearing two sets of sounds. Like, okay, which one do I follow?
Oh, your Facebook is open. You have to close. Or you.
Yeah, that's why I closed it because I was like getting confused. Which one? So I was gonna say I miss cheesecake. Okay, I'm Claudine. The cheesecake stock. Aves, that's your fault. Joke. So what else? What are we supposed to say? That's the black.
Introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm also part of the group Soul Purpose Hub and Soul Purpose Activist. I'm also an Akashic Records instructor and a consultant. And what else am I? I'm part of the group called Sattva also. And I'm happy to be here with friends and colleagues and seekers, fellow seekers, feeling Holy Grail, seekers of the Holy Grail. So, magandang hapon, good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to the is it coming out? Our coming out party. All right, so Dave, are you the host? Who's the host? Oh, Lance. Is it Lance?
Lance. Yeah.
I'm
Start
the
us off,
host.
Lance. How did we get to this
Come
this
out.
point? Yeah.
Come out, whoever you are. Why did you choose this theme?
Because I recall we were having a conversation before, and we were kind of like comparing our seeking for soul purpose as like similar to the journey of our brothers and sisters in the gay closet. You know, it's like coming out and being authentic to who I truly am. And we were talking to some, in fact, in my own way, I was talking to some friends who are from the rainbow community, and there were a lot of parallelisms in their journey of coming out and my journey of seeking soul purpose. So I thought, there might be a topic of discussion here, you know, because
Right.
it's very similar.
And for
And I
me,
did.
when I hear Pride Month, it brings me back to um, finding that pride in being who I truly am. And it takes me to that journey of finding myself, di ba nga, parang finding myself and then being really proud of who you find and living the life, the unlived life.
I was going to say how, as I myself being part of the rainbow community, hearing Dave and Lance and Claudine talk about it, it made me feel like Oh, nga, no, I'm not alone. I mean, there's a very specific experience that we who need to come out go through. But coming out about, let's say, who you are, your sole purpose, or even just the notion that you have a purpose, is something that's not always heard of. And as a matter of fact, you can even be ostracized in saying, I have a sole purpose and this is it. And that in itself is a risk. So I found that very relatable.
Mhm.
And like David said, not just parallelism, sobrang it's the same. Perhaps even riskier because sole purpose is not as fancy and progressive sounding as
Mhm.
being queer or being part of the rainbow community or being an ally. Yeah.
It's also sometimes a little fuzzy, especially at the beginning. It's not something grand. I think there's this misconception about my life purpose or my life mission to be something en grande or
Yeah.
huge or important.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry. I fell into that trap also in the beginning.
So it was
Wow.
it was so romanticized for me in the beginning, something that will save me from all my miseries.
Really?
Same here. Same
Yeah,
here.
because I know I was not happy. There must be something to life than this life I'm living. And I was feeling that way even when my life would look like I have everything. I have a
That's
career. It's not, I could eat as much as I want. I have all my necessities, and maybe more. But then, so the question is really, but so what is it that's missing? If I have everything that I need, and on paper I have ticked all the boxes, I finished in the university, I found a good job, I made a really good paying career. Um,
travel.
I travel. So why is it that I'm still feeling this deep longing for something? And what is that something?
It's a yearning.
Yeah.
For what?
I didn't know also before. So
Yeah.
are we going
And
to talk
there's
about,
also
are we going to go back into history now?
Yeah.
I
Well,
think Apes was going to say something.
yeah, you
Ace,
muna,
go
Ace.
ahead. You go
I
ahead.
could
Ikaw
I
muna,
could really
Ace.
relate. Yeah, I could relate to what Lance and Claudine were saying. Like there's even for me at least there was even this guilt of why am I not contented? Everything is provided for, everything is here. Like they're the usual shaming, mental shaming,
Hmm.
self-shaming, what do you call this? Pattern that goes,
Yeah,
there are people
ingrata
who are
ba ako?
suffering. Yeah, and parang there are people who are suffering or who are not as blessed. And why do you have that emptiness? Why are you being emo? And yet you can't help but deny, you really can't deny that feeling of why am I here really? And this is not gonna like this is not gonna be okay if I look at years ahead and I'm still gonna just be living this okay life. It's not gonna be worth it. Parang
So
ganun.
maybe that's one of the parallelisms. When you're born, you have a gender, you have an orientation that the doctor would assign to you because of your biology. And then when you're born, you're raised, you maybe are born into a Catholic family, you're expected to grow to as a Catholic person. Maybe some people are even born into family of lawyers and are expected to be lawyers. Or the parents went to this university and immediately they want the kid to go to the same university. So there are expectations, and so that I think that's where the first feelings of dissatisfaction come in when the expectation does not fit who you truly are. Do you have experiences around that?
So,
Oh, definitely.
You
Yeah, you first then.
oh,
Ladies first. Sige.
oh, okay. I'm not going to say anything else. There was a retort, but I'm not going to say it. Being in the, it's not just like the family or immediate environment, but it's also the culture. In my case, it was like a culture of I was expected to follow in the footsteps of my mom and my dad, and especially my mom. It's like um, to follow her into that success, that she had or into the path that she carved out. But then there was a point where I resisted, and that was the literal jumping off the cliff for me. But the going backtrack a little bit, growing up, like you, Lance, I had a very privileged. I wouldn't say we were rich. I wasn't. We weren't, but we were comfortable. So we were able to eat, able to travel, able to go to school, etc. The basic necessities plus plus plus. But there is something gnawing inside. It's like, who am I? And at the age of 15, I was like asking, who am I? Why am I here on earth? God must have put me here for a purpose, But what purpose? I don't know. It just felt something big at that time. And I was in third year high school.
You started early, then.
Yeah.
Compared to me, well.
But then, I started early, but I set it aside because of familial, I wouldn't say pressure. I guess I was the one pressuring myself because I wanted to fit. I wanted to be the good daughter. I wanted to, there's a lot of expectation that I was feeling, except mine. Of course, that's from my perspective. But from my parents' perspective, it could be different. I don't know. But from where I was, that was my journey. That was how I started. And then I started joining leadership seminars, trying to find out who I am or what am I not. And then one path led to another until I found myself getting deeper and deeper into knowing God. It was more for me like there was a point wherein I found, okay, this is the feeling of home. And this is where I want to belong. Parang GMA 7, where you belong.
I think up to some level, I could relate to you because you have an established family business. And it would be very easy for people to say that this is an established business that other people would die for. How can you not appreciate or
so the guilt trip,
there's a legacy also involved.
I had to forego all of that. And in fact, I was asked, it's like, why don't you just take over that? I mean, you're making money there and here you're not. So there's a kind of shaming also, like what Abe said. It's like, yes.
No, I was gonna say, plus the direction you took is so different, right? Not just different from the regular. Like it would probably have been understandable if you went on to become a doctor or a lawyer instead of the business, right? But you became, I don't even know if there's an actual label for what you became.
That's the problem.
Right?
Sometimes in filling out occupation, I don't know what to write because I don't exactly know what to write. There's no label.
Yes, I was going to say labels. It becomes difficult.
Yeah.
Actually,
which
there's
again is very apt to the theme, right? Coming out as whoever you are.
Yeah, there's actually a fun way to label what your sole purpose is these days. It's like describe what you do poorly. I think you mentioned that in one of the chats of Facebook, diba? What do you do poorly? And people actually describe it beyond the label, diba? Because usually I find that moving into soul purpose, as it reveals to itself to myself more, there's really no label, that I can fit myself into the current status quo, I feel.
What started the journey for you, David?
Let's just say it was an accident. Okay. I come from a very my family's reputation is in banking and finance, so it was very probably logical that I would follow, or at least follow the corporate track in that regard. I tried going into marketing and advertising, but still it was a corporate track. So I had opportunities laid out for me because of my educational background. I also had a master's degree. So the guy mentality of, okay, this is my track, 5-year plan, like that. Okay. But the thing
Sorry,
is,
sorry, I'm
the
laughing because I remembered the track I had it in
yeah,
mind for
5-year plan,
myself.
sometimes a 10-year plan, right? Yeah. And then, but the thing is, I also felt that yearning, like something was not right. And I found myself trying to cover it up, not through work, but other distractions, partying, alcohol, sometimes doing some reckless stuff, or just to cover it up, you know. Until one day, through some friends, I found my teacher, and it just snowballed through there, you know. But even when I found my teacher, I felt the conflict there, because I was getting introduced to a certain way of looking at life, but then there's this other way of life that society has actually established moving forward. So it was something like a conflict inside, you know. I had to merge it one way or the other. At least for me, my journey into soul purpose is about how do I merge that purpose into this earth? How do I express it tangibly on this earth, in this framework? You know, maybe even ruffle some feathers along the way. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You were
I think
nodding
it
your head,
does.
Aves. Yes.
No, I just really agree with that. I mean, I consider myself a beginner in pursuing soul purpose. I mean, it doesn't have a very clear execution, but I do have a job in everything that I'm doing, whether I'm fulfilling my role as a teacher or as a family member, as a friend. It it comes out, right? It just comes out, and it might not be attached to a clear specific title or role, but it does come out. And I've learned to be patient as well. Maybe that's how it is really. No matter what occupation I have, that will simply be the purpose or the expression of the purpose for now, right? So yeah. And plus, I was nodding my head and laughing because I couldn't imagine David drinking alcohol
And being
and,
reckless.
and being reckless. Like that's not that's like could not reconcile the image of David drinking alcohol. And I mean,
I've
there's nothing
been
wrong with it,
I've been
but
dry and disciplined for years, so that was part of that journey right there. But
which
also,
is very interesting.
based on what Ace also said, you said something that it may not be clear right now. Okay, I think this is a good time to juxtapose it to coming out from the rainbow community. In the rainbow community, our brothers and sisters know that they have a certain preference. You already know. And it's just that taking that step to letting the world know and just living your life, right? As I
Correct.
experience going through soul purpose, um, I don't know. I just know that there's something missing, right? And it's that search of, I can't really say what my label is or where I belong. I just know that I'm searching for something, to be something, right? Because after the coming out party for the rainbow community, uh, things land where they fall. Consequences some happen, etc. Here, um, up to this point, it's still being shown. It's like, okay, I thought this is it. Okay, oh, then there's something more. That I thought this is it. Oh, then there's something more. It's a never-ending coming out party.
Yeah. It's
Something that's
not it's not it's not like it's clear like a doing. It's yes, there is a doing part, but I realize it's like what you said, Dave. It's never ending. It's like it always unfolds. And I guess for me, I'm just thankful I'm not shown or I didn't see what was the final picture, if there is even a final picture, because I might chicken out. Um, because what I understand now, it's usually something outside my comfort zone. It's scary, and there is that resistance to do it or to be it, um, because I might be ostracized, because I might be judged, because friends might leave, or because I might get disinherited. just joking on that. But really, it's more of the judging and the being, what do you call that? We're talking about it last.
Alienated,
Yes,
Alienated,
rejected.
yeah.
abandoned. Is that the right word?
Not
Or
abandoned. It's more of being alienated, rejected,
uh,
judged,
Mm.
um, and
Discriminated against also.
discriminate. Yeah, and that is where the fear comes from.
And the battle is not just between you and the external
No,
expectations.
it's
Sometimes it's a
internal.
battle between you and yourself
Yeah,
also.
it's
Yep,
actually yes.
that's mostly what it's been for me too. It's an
Yeah.
internal battle.
Yeah.
Because for me, pursuing soul purpose is a self-destructive. It's been for me at least a self-destructive process because whatever I knew myself to be, whoever wants to come out of that is so different from who I knew myself to be. So there's an attachment to the old me. There's also that comfort. There's also less accountability. And
Mm.
then I find myself doing things that I'd normally be too shy to do, right? Like going on Facebook Live, something like that. And so it really is like this, like David said, like constantly opening up of the self. So it's not very comfortable, but it's very fulfilling.
It's liberating.
Yeah, plus even if like I get a lot of anxiousness around, let's say, doing a certain task, there's that level of peace that's not moved. Like there's just this, how do I call it? Like the home that David was talking about earlier. It was that Claudine. Like there was this feeling of um, being at peace and being uh, not certain, but just at really like at peace with
It's hard to
whatever's
describe the
not
feeling.
sure. Yeah,
It's
like
Like
I'd
there's a
choose this over
certainty.
anything else.
There's a
Yeah,
certainty.
it's not. It's not even a
there's
certain.
a knowing. There's a knowing that you're where exactly where
Mm.
that you're exactly where you need to be, and
Mm.
that you're going with what is most right for you. Something like that.
Even
Even if everything
when,
else is uncertain.
yes, even when there are so many unknowns compared to before where everything is planned, but then you're still searching for something else.
Yeah. So my ego panics all the time because the picture, the road is not clear, and I imagine a lot of blocks. But like deep inside, when I check in on with myself, it's like, ah, you're good. This is where you need to be.
Okay, so just
Something
to
like
tell you a
that.
little bit, a snippet of how it started for me. So I was in, I think we came from a talk, from a Buddhist uh, group in New Manila. And then it was August 2nd, I remember. And then I remember I was having lunch, and then my mom calls me. She was on her way to the airport, and I was being cut off. And right there and then, in not so many words, it felt like a cutting off. Like if I don't toe the line, if I don't do what she wants,
Mm.
this is gonna happen.
Wow.
Yeah. So she drew the line, and I'm like, okay, I made the decision right there and then. 180-degree turn. It's not a 360 because when you say 360, you go back to where you began, right? So it's a complete turnaround for me. I said, okay, I'm not gonna go anymore back into the business. I'm not gonna report for Judy. I'm just gonna do what I want. To hell with whatever anyone says. So that was the literal jumping off the cliff. Scary because I didn't know where I was going to get the money to pay off my bills. You know, it it was literally jumping off without knowing where to land, but I took the risk.
During that time when you said that I'll do whatever I want, was it clear to you what you want?
No, it was
Not yet.
it no.
Wow.
It wasn't, there was nothing clear. But for me it just felt like if I do what other people wanted me to do, I will die inside.
What's
And
clear is you don't want where you are, and so the journey of that
I
search begins.
I needed to find my wings.
Mm.
and I needed to be able to flap my own wings. And this
That
whole
sounded so
14
cool.
years,
Yeah,
this
I
whole
think that
14
deserves a
years,
song. Do you have a song in mind?
Yeah,
That
Yeah.
deserves a song.
yeah,
Spread your wings and prepare to fly.
yeah.
You will be. So Mariah Carey, very, very fabulous and gay.
which song was
Mm,
this?
Butterfly by
Butterfly.
Mariah.
mm, mm.
So we,
I
we
think
probably, yeah, Dave?
I feel that Din hit something there about describing it like wings or an animal. So it's like it's probably like a pigeon or a bird that's trapped in a golden cage. You have everything given to you, but there's this urge to just go that way, and you don't know why, because you don't know that you can fly. You know?
I've always felt growing up, I was in a cage that had no bars.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a golden cage that had no bars.
Mm,
That was always the feeling and the visual I felt.
mm.
Kailangan golden yung cage, yes.
But also, it doesn't look at it also this way. If you look at the zoo animals, at least the zoos that are standard, the animals are not as they're not as vibrant as the ones in the wild in their natural habitat. Unless it's a really good zoo. But if the zoo does not have the natural habitat of that animal, you see the lion emaciated, you see the baboons very sad. You know, even dolphins, according to science, a swimming pool and you keep dolphins in there for some time, they go crazy, they go insane.
If I may go back to the butterfly analogy, it's not always butterfly doesn't start off that beautiful. So it starts off as a caterpillar, and then the metamorphosis is of the butterfly is that when it's in the chrysalis between being a caterpillar and a butterfly, it really disintegrates. No, so everything
Yeah.
like into one big mush before it becomes a butterfly. Did you have
I
that
just
experience that you feel you really like been broken down to the smallest elements?
Yeah. Well, the
it's
breaking
For
is not
sure.
yet done
yeah,
for me.
the breaking continues, but
I
then
was gonna say.
but it kind of feels like I'm being pushed to the edge of the cliff, and I'm being complacent on the cliff, but life kind of has that jump, 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 jump until it's just there already. Okay, jump. Okay.
Buti pa sa'yo, meron ka pang ganun eh. Sa akin, hindi. Tinulak na lang ako eh.
Yeah. Because for me, it was like, okay, shall I jump? Will I jump? Will not jump? Will not jump? Maybe it's like,
Now we can laugh about it, but when we were in those moments, no, it really is it can be challenging. I remember when I was wearing my Zion Prayer Minister badge, and my friends were teasing me whenever I would like invite them to something. They'll tease me that baka I'm inviting them to a prayer meeting, and then the Akashic reading. It's been very difficult for me to explain to people, like and the Lily activations. I'm like, I want to encourage people to try these things, but it's very difficult for me to explain. Plus, that feeling of you might be ridiculed, that fear is always there. So when my friends had this Akashic review with Claudine and David, I was really very happy because I think it was one of the milestones, I'd say, of my coming out, showing myself to my friends, and not just let them knowing that I'm an Akashic reader, but really also exposing them. Yeah, and having that, being at peace of being more and more confidently beautiful. No, confident in
Confidently
expressing
beautiful.
expressing myself, because before it was very compartmentalized. There's a Lance in the office, there's a Lance at home, there's a Lance in her spiritual community, and so it's really very liberating that the walls are coming down little by
Breaking
little,
down.
and it's years and years of work.
but what helped me, go to complement what Lance said, to prepare ourselves for every session, like, meeting your friends. there's something that prepares me to meet people. Okay, one is that um, I have a purpose, and it's not just about me. What I found before, what held me back, was that if I have a sole purpose, what will I get out of it? You know, that's one factor. And in fact, that's how, a lot of people think. Yeah, I have a purpose or something. What's in it for me? But every purpose, in a way, for me, what I discover is like it's for the benefit of others around them. It's like nature, like the bumblebee has a purpose. If the bumblebee does not do
Yes.
its purpose, what happens to the field of flowers?
Yeah, it's like this
Right?
ecosystem where we're trying to find our contribution, and by just being that,
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
by
So I
being
ask
that,
myself, if I don't, yeah, it's like if I don't do my purpose, what's going to happen to around me, to the
That's
people
true.
that I care about, to these people, So,
and so we're really,
and that's
but
what
we're,
moves me.
thank you, David.
Yeah, that's what moves me to take the step, even if it's scary.
I think this is a good segue that to explain why we believe that we can create a better future if we build it on the foundation of soul purpose, because you're creating that universe, where that ecosystem where everyone knows what their purpose is and live that purpose, and just by being themselves they are of highest value to everyone else.
Actually, Lance, my reaction to what you asked there, or what you said, it's like I move to say that human beings are the only animals that are born with amnesia, because we don't know what to do. When the bumblebee comes out, it pretty much knows what to do. When the dog or the cat or any other animal comes out of the egg or the mother, by instinct, it knows its purpose already to just flow in its environment.
That's a
Tayo,
good point, no?
we have to look for it.
But
We have to
but
seek it out.
But
but
the
we
thing
have
is,
we're the only species with free will, with
Free
right.
will,
responsibility. But yeah,
yeah, but we have
misphilosophy.
amnesia because of what we created. It
Yeah.
created an environment of amnesia, human amnesia. You know.
Yeah, it is.
But that's what's unique about us, I think. We have, we don't have, we're not just following, we are, of course, following a DNA programming and evolutionary programming because we're part of the animal kingdom still. But the main premise of having a soul purpose is that you're as unique goes. Because the thing that you're looking for, the thing that you wish to fulfill in this life is specifically like enormously just yours and no one else's. So it's like you don't you can really be just like another human being filling out the script, grow up, study, get a job, die, right? But there's another way of living, and that's what we were talking about. Building a future based on with on
On the
given what's that
foundation of
building built on the
building a
foundation
better
of soul
future.
purpose. Like, what kind of future would it look like if we were not just following a script? Like, if we were literally to wake up to what we're here for individually, that's particular to us. And it's not like, it's not a job, like we mentioned earlier. It's not like, okay, you're the one in charge of these things. It really is like the essence of you coming out. Like, if we were flowers, like if you're an ilang ilang, that's your specific smell, and that, and that's it. Like, that's the unique, like we all have our unique essences, and that's what comes out. And the thing is, I realized I got a bit thrilled when you guys were talking, because you know how it sounds progressive and it sounds cool to come out. I mean, it's, I'm not saying it's a trend. It's just that it's more acceptable to come out as someone who's queer, as or gay, etc. But it really is scary to come out about having a soul purpose, because it's not cool. It goes back to you know, it goes back to the possibility of being criticized as someone who's a cultist or someone who goes by dogma, or people have just been burned, like
Yeah,
historically human beings have been burned by religious beliefs, right?
I've been asked that.
Oppressive religious, yeah, oppressive
Anong
religious.
kulto yung
So
sinalihan mo?
I've been labeled a cultist before just because I believed in a God and just because I was unabashedly sharing that. So it really is like. But here's the thing: what really got me thrilled was even so back then when gay was being prosecuted as wrong, it was the amount of people who came out and became free with themselves unabashedly that 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 created this avalanche now that
Like a
normalized it, that
movement.
it is a movement. And so I really believe in this soul purpose movement because the more of us, the more there are of us to come out about who we are, who our soul purpose is, the more it gets infectious, right? The more it gets acceptable, accepted, or even someday celebrated, like pride.
Mm.
You know what? It's morning in the conversations that build the future. I was shown by the Blessed Mother, parang group of the Filipino Chinese community. It's part of my toka. And I asked, I said, but like a lot of them don't really believe these things. So it's like, what's the whole point, of trying to even say it and or convince, not convince, but to even like share it to them or talk about it, to make that effort. And then I was answered, it's like, yeah, well, at least you bring it to their awareness, and then they can make a choice. And that was like, oh, I know. Yeah, they can make a choice. So it's I really leave it up to you, but at least I kind of like open it a little bit for you. And if you wanna come in the door, like the Alice in Wonderland, that small door, right? If you want to come into that small door, then you're more than welcome. But it's a rabbit's hole.
I think one of my biggest lesson in this journey is the respect of free will, because in the beginning I would, when I find something that's very helpful for me, of course I'm so eager to share. But then over time, I realized how important free will is and how much I value it. So the more I value it, the more I should value the free will of others. But then, so what are we doing here if we say that we're respecting other people's free will? So yeah, Claudine, we're sharing, we're opening doors, and we're telling people that yeah, there are also other people like you who are going through stuff in different expressions like discontent, dissatisfaction, that feeling of unhappiness, and just knowing that they're in the wrong place at the moment. And so, what do you have a tip on how people can start their seeking or their soul purpose journey or their search for their soul purpose?
I'll go
Sometimes
first.
it's a lot of
I'd
book.
say
Yeah.
Daming
Well,
nagtataas. Ako rin, gusto ko din eh.
oh, yeah. I'm raising my hand because I forgot how to do the raise hand in Zoom. Okay. So, so
Ibs is
for me,
next.
okay, for me, what the tip that I can share based on my experience is one, accept that there is a chasm inside. Point A, you know, because if I didn't accept the chasm that it's there, okay, I'd probably still be filling it up with stuff.
Hmm.
Okay, I'd be a
The
stockholder
void,
of tequila,
void
you
that's
know.
very hard to fill.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
tequila just
So
goes out and
yeah,
still
just,
there.
then the hangovers will just keep going and going, So it's like just accepting. Okay, there's a chasm. Okay, and seek assistance in whatever way or form. The first probably is maybe basic counseling that could actually work for the moment, diba? Or whatever, moving down
Recognize
the
that there's
line.
a problem. Yeah. Yeah.
Problem, however you want to label it, problem, chasm,
Mhm.
a point A, just like in coaching, what is my point A?
Mm.
And just take it from there. And then reach out to people who may have the solution, you know, and see where it goes rather
And
than doing the same thing over and over.
begin listening to your intuition. Listen, watch out for signs, the people who are inviting you, that nudge to
Mm,
go somewhere, to attend
yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah. And well, for me, this is what also helped me. And this is very familiar. Okay, very basic. Okay, there's this aspect of surrender,
Surrender,
of
yes.
surrender to something bigger than self. It's like, if you're in the Christian tradition, you can say, okay, God, I feel bad. I'm this deep chasm inside. I don't know why.
Thy will be
Okay,
done.
and now, okay, lead me now.
Lead me,
Okay.
Lord.
Yeah. So instead of trying to make it go away with other things around, there's this point where you just have to give up the control. And that's the scary part. That's the most difficult part in the beginning. Yeah. So that's my share. That's my own tip.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll share mine. Mine was not that systematic. It was really like this whole chaos of I was in the shambles of my life. Yes, dramatic. And then I just went into whatever like events or groups there were. Like I remember checking out Lily and Beyond, and then being so certain that that was a cult. and then and then I felt that nudge. I just felt that nudge and I followed it. So I was sure that I was crazy for getting myself into it. But it was through that experimentation that things got so much better for me. Like I mean so much better is not doesn't even cover it because it's worlds apart from where I got to be. So um my tip would be to just check things out, like for instance Soul Purpose Hub as a Facebook group. I mean, you can always, if you join the group and you find that that's not what you're into, this is not the kind of conversation that you're into, you can always leave, but at least give yourself the chance to listen to that inclination to soul purpose, that's what I'm into, so maybe this is where I can join for now.
And while they can observe that there are certain similarities between the four of us, when you go to Soul Purpose Hub, the membership is very diverse. We don't promote any religion, so there are several orientations there, and it's just really everyone who wants to build that better future, to collaborate, to have conversation, to share. It's really for me it's a safe space to inquire, share.
Yeah, I have a friend there who even doesn't believe in any objective notion of God. So I guess uh, you know, you could say that she's what agnostic, atheistic, but there's just this recognition of purposiveness in one's existence, and in the context of the whole cosmos, I'd say. So, yep, no doctrines. What about you, Lance and Din? Any tips?
For me, follow that voice. Like when people are complaining to me, I get excited because maybe the way that Marie Kondo is excited when she sees mess, like because she knows she can clean it up. I really really like feel excited when people are dissatisfied with their jobs or with a relationship, because I know that this is a very good turning point for a transformation. So when you feel that dissatisfaction and it's something that's hard to explain, like in your head, you shouldn't be feeling this way, listen to that and try uncovering what it's telling you, because there's this inner guidance that knows. It's just a matter of maybe hearing it beyond all the noise. So that's why sometimes we say meditation works, yoga works, because it helps quiet the monkey mind. And then by doing that, you can hear what your heart is telling you. Yoga is one of the ways also that I got in, that is part of my soul purpose journey. So the discontent, listen to that. I love those moments. Claudine, do you have anything to add?
Take the risk.
Take the risk. Yeah. You just told me that when I was so nervous about going live on FB.
I did. I don't remember.
Or was it David?
The way I encourage Lance is, okay, Lance, on the count of three. Three! Okay.
You meet people like David, Claudine, and Aves in Soul Purpose Hub. And when you start searching, not just in Soul Purpose Hub, it's just one of the venue that you can start your search. You meet people who can be as crazy as you. You people that you wouldn't, because they're not from the same province, background, school, but we ended up as friends, brothers and sisters even. So just take that next step. Just take the step that's available to you.
It need
And it's
not
an
be
international
perfect.
community as well.
Yeah, we have people from the States, people from
Europe.
some from New Zealand, Australia.
It is. That's why whenever we do Facebook Lives, we always ask each other, oh, so is this all English? Can we speak in Filipino? So we try to do everything in English because it's an international community.
So I'll segue with what Lance said, it's like listening to that voice, because that's what I listen to, and then take that next step into the unknown and take that risk. And bahala na si Batman, as we say in our language. Now, I don't know how you explain that in English.
Batman will save us. Yeah.
Come what may.
Somebody.
Or maybe for some people, like it's scary, because it's like for those who like to know and plan and control their lives, that's pretty scary. And what what Abe was saying earlier about breaking down, it's like enlightenment is really not something glamorous or something happy. A lot of times there's a lot of tears, and to discover things about myself that I'm not exactly happy about or proud about. And it's like, oh, that's me. It's like it causes me a lot of pain and tears and grief and angst and anger and all the range of emotions, 50 shades more. but it's there's a peace at the same, even if there's like chaos outside. Pretty much like how when my dad died, I could still feel that peace. It didn't waver. Oh, that's beautiful. So it doesn't happen overnight, So I don't wanna also like mislead people. It's not an easy path. It's like following something that darts in and out, and you'll have to be like really fast to follow it. But follow it home, I will.
Do you have anything to add before I ask the last question?
Yeah. For who you're talking to, Lance? Anyone?
Yes.
Okay. For me, I just have an insight. Okay. Coming out in Soul Purpose, it's only glamorous perhaps in the rainbow community. Not so much if it's Soul Purpose.
Oh, but I want to be careful.
Claudine
It's not
said,
always glamorous also in the rainbow community. I would say there are still challenges. But
yeah, okay.
maybe
Then I stand corrected
maybe what we're saying is that
there.
it's probably more, they started their journey earlier, perhaps. Is that correct to say, Aves?
I don't know. I just know it's really difficult.
But in both cases,
anything that's coming out could be difficult.
Anything
yeah,
that's
but
being
I would
true to
think that
yourself is difficult.
coming out, yes, being true to yourself. But here's the thing. I feel that in coming out with Soul Purpose, there is like a benefit to the community moving forward, far reaching than what I actually thought about it could be in the beginning. Okay. So any kind of coming out has a certain consequences, but I feel the benefit will be
Okay.
known,
Yes.
yeah, will outweigh the risks, the pain, the tears, you know, the
Just
crying, etc.
just as with nature and the ecosystem, when you mentioned the bees and the flowers, David. So when you're being yourself, the synergies just happen because everything is where it's supposed to be. Everyone is doing their job, and so it will be very
Yeah, like I
automatic.
am doing my job, like I am doing what I'm meant to be doing. You know,
Mm,
of course, it changes from day to day, but if I feel that, okay,
mm,
it's like I'm assured that um, I'm contributing to society
mhm,
and to the greater good. I
Yes.
think that's actually one of the best takeaways from going into soul purpose.
You're doing it for yourself and in service of others.
Yeah, because
What
doing it just for myself, it gets old very quickly already.
I wanted to share that for me, I couldn't really compare both coming out stories because my coming out as queer is part of my soul purpose. Like it's not something you can pick apart. So I feel that even I feel that everything, once biology, once history, once all of these seemingly minor details, they do come together to create the completely unique you. And so it's like a bee realizing that it's a bee, and that's part of the job. That's part
Mm,
of fulfilling the role. So yeah, it's this one whole integral experience.
mm. Thank you, Aves. Maybe to close, we can introduce ourselves in ways that we're not always comfortable to introduce ourselves as, like a sort of coming out, and then yeah, we can close that way. I wanted also to ask what's your coming out song, but I just thought of last question now. Maybe we can add that. Yeah, I mentioned that my coming out song is Mulan Reflection. So, friends, I am Lance Bularan. I am a silent prayer minister. I am an Akashic reader. I am a life coach, and I'm a soul purpose activist. David?
Hello, everyone. I'm David Montecillo, and I am part of Sattva Wellness, where I am a silent prayer minister. I'm also what's called a Qigong instructor and meditation instructor. I also share practices on Tibetan Tantra meditations, okay, as well as an Akashic reader like Claudine. Okay. So thank you. Din,
Thank you,
you're
David.
next.
Dean?
Segue na ba sa akin yun? Okay. I'm Claudine, and I'm an Akashic instructor, an Akashic consultant. Um, I'm the other part of Sattva. I'm a soul purpose activist. And so I invite people to step into that space of the unknown where it's more liberating. Thank you.
Be willing to be surprised. People. Aves?
Hi everyone, I'm Aves of Celia. I'm a soul purpose mover. That's what I got. And I am a researcher of um, the philosophy of a new heaven, new earth,
Ooh,
and what that looks like.
I love it.
Yep. And I'm also an Akashic reader. Thank
Oh,
you.
as you share that, I wanted to add to my introduction, but we have next week, so we'll keep adding to the things that we reveal to the world. And so that ends our conversation for this week. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. There would still be opportunities to join the conversation in the comment section. Um, David, do we have time for your your
The
what do
high
you call
tech.
Yes,
our
yes.
high
So
tech
everyone, okay, so everyone, this is our
invitations?
high-tech graphics. Thank you again for attending our come out, whoever I am Facebook Live talk. And don't forget, please, if you want to mix up with people like us, you can go to Soul Purpose Hub group. Okay, Smith. And then also, if you want to see more about Lance, she is in Soul Purpose Achievers
Yes.
Facebook group. And also, just a short out to one of our friends, she's not in the stock, but she also has a page called Millennial Midas Facebook group by Priscilla Wheeler. Okay. And of course, me and Claudine, you can watch us here in Satma Wellness and get to know more of who we are. And of course, as always, we are your soul purpose activists, and we'd like to say thank you and gratitude for your presence here. Okay. So to
Thank
our
you,
friends out there
everyone.
still in the soul purpose closet, and to those in the rainbow community celebrating Pride Month, namaste. Have a nice one, guys. All right.
Thank
Thank
you,
you. Thank
Lance.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone. Have a
guys.
safe day.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you. See you.